We're going to be talking through tonight's Tuesday NBA slate. Just a little three-gamer, but actually some nice tournaments out there that they put out there probably because they had such lousy ones yesterday. And look, it was a brutal weekend for me in football. Thankfully, I made those pick six plays yesterday. I hit a 5-way parlay on one of those.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, and the first time.
What did you get paid? And what did you get paid, by the way?
$497 for $550. The estimated was $500. Okay. So it was basically right around what they thought. And I'm monitoring that, but yeah, I want to get a little bit more into that. I'll start posting my stuff each day in the Discord as well. Just wanted to throw that out there, but it was a frustrating football weekend after a few really good football weeks in a row that I had. So I'm kind of bummed, and it's been a little bit of a shaky start to the season. So we're ready to turn it around. Sheets, how are you doing? And I know you won a nice satellite last night. Talk about that, and we'll get into today's slate.
Yeah, I'm not exactly doing it the right way. So one of the guys I follow, the guy I had on here once, the DFS PhD thing. He has a really good kind of like satellite strategy to take advantage of like overlays and finding good spots and stuff like that. I don't do it that way. I just fired my thing into the satellite. Ended up playing against 8 sharp people and ended up winning. It's not exactly the way you're supposed to do it,
right?
But nonetheless, it was a nice sheet slate, very low scoring. So I just basically entered my top projected lineup in it, and believe it or not, Christian Wood ended up in the top projected lineup after all that. And he was only 4% owned in the main tournaments, and actually of the 12 or 13 people in my satellite, like two other people played him. So that's kind of validation, that it was a pretty good play. It was a lot of sharp people got to him. But yeah, so tonight is interesting, yeah, because it's some just when you think DraftKings is on it, like they schedule these things as paying $100,000 for first when there's like 2 games.
Right.
The real sport tonight, by the way, is hockey. Like hockey, they're putting some big tournaments out there. So I'm going to do a separate video on the hockey slate and process and stuff like that. But the NBA is kind of cool tonight because of the way the slate is laid out. So I'll share my screen, and you have a 7:30. And then a 9, and then a 10, and I even though he's not on the injury report, I think there's a shot that Shea sits, just because it's a back-to-back. Now he's got a lot of things going against that narrative. Number one, they lost last night, and number two, it's against his old team. So he's going to have to really, he's going to really have to be convinced to not play. Let's put it that way. But I like these slates when you can be around, because you can take advantage of late swapping and things like that. And you got good basketball players playing, right? You got Jokic and Embiid in the other game, So I don't know. Let's see if we can't figure out what's good.
Yeah, I'll throw out just real quickly on the Shea. I'd be shocked if he sat, unless we hear something this morning after shoot around. He's played every back-to-back this season, and he actually has played better in the back-to-backs. And they are trying to win games. This is a team that could be the number 1 seed in the West this year. I think they're going to go for it. The Clippers are really good. This is a big televised game. I'm pretty sure that you see it. You got a lot of little revenge and interesting narratives going on with today's slate. Starting off with the first game, for obvious reasons, I think.
What's crazy again, and I say this before every early breakdown, and there's the value on these NBA cards are very, very slim, literally every day. And I have maybe 5 or 6 guys. Oh my God, I can't believe this. So I have like 5 or 6 guys that are projected over 5X on like the whole board, and like almost all of them are over 10K.
Right.
And I got one, which we'll get to it, I guess, but I don't know. I'll figure something out. All right, so Denver, Philadelphia. What kind of revenge do we have specifically?
The revenge is that Joel Embiid last year. This was a big deal when the game that he beat Jokic's thing. So you've got the last 3 MVPs between these guys. Not to mention Embiid coming back, and also there is a thing between him. I think he's tired of hearing that he might, even though it's right, he might be tired of hearing that Jokic is the best player in the world, and he's also only 11-4. And I also think that he can individually beat up on this matchup a little bit. I think he will try to. So that was sort of my what I was saying. Jokic and basically the whole Denver team is questionable, and they could pull the same thing that Philly pulled in Denver last year, where they sat Embiid when he was supposed to play. So just keep an eye out. I mean, it's the first game, so we'll know. But we have Murray, Gordon, Jokic, Porter, and KCP all questionable. You think that just the numbers wise, you'd guess at least somebody sits. So we're gonna have to wait on that, I guess, probably, right?
Yeah. So I'm getting. We don't have to wait really because it's it's the first game, right?
Right. I just mean waiting late throughout the day.
Well, right off the bat, you know what I'm getting? I'm getting some value, assuming everybody even plays, on Reggie Jackson at 3,900. I don't know if he's done anything recently, but at 3,900, I mean, he's got to play 15 minutes, maybe 12, 15 minutes, right? I mean, doesn't have to. Really, just has to get in the game. For me to be okay playing him. I mean, just because of he could shoot the ball a lot, I suppose.
Well, the good news for you is that he's probably going to play in the low 20s minutes no matter what.
Well, I can tell that because he has a 50% ownership projection.
Yeah, but he is, and also it's because of the lack of other value, and they made his price finally low enough. But yeah, he's a good play that might turn into being an automatic play later today.
I think actually right now, I think he's kind of an automatic play that hopefully turns into a guy you don't have to play.
Well, I'm saying because of all the question marks, like if Jamal Murray's out, obviously you lock him in.
Right.
So what else? Anything else you like here?
No, most of my stuff is coming from the other games, honestly. But Reggie Jackson, obviously Jokic, whatever, and I doubt you'll be able to play both these guys. I presume you like Embiid more. If they both play, do you like Embiid more?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense.
Unless Murray and Porter Jr. are out, then I like them pretty similarly. But I still like Embiid a lot.
I'll probably if I put a gun to my head, I end up probably just not playing either of them. That's going to be my.
Okay.
I think that's what I'll end up doing. But that's it's 7 hours from now or whatever.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, Embiid will be in basically all my lineups as of right now. I mean, I'm not going to play an insane amount on a 3-gamer, but maybe I might get a little flexible because there's some pivots here we could get to. So sort of reminded me of the football slate yesterday. Man, I thought I was off to the races with the David Bell. That looked like it was the nuts.
David Moore, you mean?
David Moore, I mean. Oh, that felt like it was going to be the nuts at like 4% ownership on a 2-gamer. He was 5% owned on the showdown. And it was how crazy it was. But he was a little higher than that on the showdown. Whatever it was. Anyway, it looked like it was going to be great. But anyway. So yeah, for me, this game is basically Embiid. And then just seeing what happens, who Denver decides is not going to play tonight, if anyone. If no one, Reggie Jackson and Peyton Watson and Christian Braun are two other guys you'd probably want in the mix as well, even though the projections, look, they've got them at 13 fantasy points and 15 fantasy points, but they're 3,600 and 3,500. They're showing up with quite a bit of ownership. So there's a reason, because we just don't have that much other value. And tell yourself a story that those guys, can get you those 15 to 20 fantasy points, and that might be good enough with the spend ups today.
I'll tell you, Peyton Watson's active whenever I watch him.
Oh yeah, he's super active.
Yeah. Before you leave that, only because you mentioned the NFL, you want to know what I mean. It's pretty, I guess, awful take by me on this one point. I was under the belief, and I was like, this is from Showdown analysis, stuff like that. I was under the belief that in the playoffs, that these teams would not be featuring these guys we haven't seen all season, or backups too much. That they would really lean on the regular guys or whatever. So I actually X'd out David Moore from this showdown slate. I didn't know who he was. I just figured it was just going to be the guys that I've just seen the whole season. And then I was watching, and they were, forget David Moore. Also, they were getting Chase Edmonds involved. You know what I mean? They were using their whole freaking roster, and I guess that's a bad take by me. I guess that they prepare for the playoffs.
I'll tell you who was a bad take for was the Eagles, because the Eagles, meanwhile, sent 2 guys on Godwin and Evans basically every time, leaving the middle of the field wide open, and they stacked everybody else on the line. They left the middle of the field wide open, so just let guys like David Moore go nuts. The third receiver was and then Trey Palmer, of course, with the big bomb late. Yep. Yeah. That was if anything, that was the Eagles' issue, probably not so much your issue.
That was some some performance by the NFC East in their playoff preparation between the Cowboys and
Jesus,
Eagles. That was
man.
pretty strong, huh?
Yeah, I got some things really right this weekend, and I got some things as wrong as you could ever get them.
That's the way it goes, man. That's the way it goes with everybody.
I don't remember being as wrong as being Dallas and Philly. So Dallas and pro Philly, but whatever, it happens. All right, Sacramento and Phoenix. What do you got in this one?
Yeah, I am getting a bunch of Sabonis. That's for openers. And boy, Eric Gordon is showing up in my initial bills. Maybe some Durant, some Me Too. But honestly, most of my stuff is coming from the late game right now. But those guys I like Sabonis. I like Me Too, whatever. He's stupid value that you're going to probably need somewhere. Eric Gordon, probably stupid value you're going to need somewhere also. Durant could be an interesting pivot off of those guys. Like you play Durant and Sabonis instead of one of those, or Sabonis instead of those Embiid, Jokic guys. That makes some sense. Mm-hmm. Those are my favorites for now, at least.
Yeah, I've got I have a more interest, I think, in Fox than Sabonis personally tonight. I think that this, that we knew the horrible games can't continue forever for him, and he came out with at least a decent one the other day, which made me feel a little bit better. But he's been really, really rough to play for a while. I probably won't get there tonight, but I did want to mention him because I think he ends up probably a little lower owned than he's projected for. Malik Monk would be my second favorite, followed by Sabonis just because of pricing, and I'm going to play Embiid. After that, the one I'm considering seriously, though, is Trey Lyles at 4,800, which also makes me have to consider Harrison Barnes at 4,700. Not fun plays, but again, we're playing a 3-gamer without a ton of value. I do want to spend up a little bit, so I will take a shot on those guys. You could get, you want to take a leap of faith, for a small slate. This is not as good as the Christian Wood play last night. Maybe you take a leap of faith on Alex Len against his former team. Maybe getting a few extra minutes against the natural big of Nurkic. If Sabonis gets in foul trouble, maybe they play, or even if he doesn't get in foul trouble, maybe Lyles minutes go to the 4, and maybe you get 14 minutes out of Alex Len at 3,400, which literally might be enough, So that's the get weird play is the Alex Len. And then on the Phoenix side, with everybody healthy, it's really hard to love anything. I think they're all fine. I actually think Beal is the one I find myself drawn to just because I need the savings with the way that I'm building. Metu is the value piece to use on this slate. Even that is definitely got some paths to failure. And Eric Gordon would be the other one you'd look at for some value. None of these guys are particularly off the wall, which is why I mentioned the Alex Len thing. He is the one piece of potential value, and even that's a reach. One piece of potential value that you might see, he could outscore these guys. It wouldn't surprise me. So wanted to add that one, but I do think Beal is maybe my favorite. If there's one that I think that just I'm waiting for that game for them to go off, it'd be Booker over Durant, but I do like Durant as well. So all three of them look good to me. I just am going to prioritize, first of all, getting getting Embiid in. If I wasn't, I would be all over. I would probably make a rule to have one of these three. But because I'm so in love with Embiid today, I'm not doing that right now.
Yep.
All right. OKC at LAC. Good game. Real good, good real life game.
Yeah. So presuming that this game, everybody's in or whatever it is. Listen, I don't know what to say, but I'm currently getting 100% Russell Westbrook. I don't. That's just what I'm getting right now. I don't think I played a share of him the whole season.
Do you want me to do a rundown of why he's a play tonight?
I mean, I'm looking at first of all, I guess 5,900 is 5,900, and second of all,
he's in that though.
Oh, I guess Harden is in.
It's Zubac who's out, which they went small in the last game and played Westbrook 30 minutes with Zubac.
Okay. Yeah. So in any case, that's who I'm getting right now. It's 100% him. And then I'm also getting a ton of Plumlee, Kawhi, and then on the other side, I'm getting Shea and some Jalen Williams. Now, Jalen Williams, let me tell you something. I don't really watch OKC all that much in general, but I was deeply deeply involved in the game yesterday because I had, I was sweating my my satellite, and what I needed going into like the fourth quarter was I needed Christian Wood to just basically stay on. Not basically, it was like almost impossible, like to stay on par with like Jalen Williams, something like that. I actually had a 7-point lead on Jalen Williams, so I needed Christian Wood to just not get outscored by Jalen Williams by 7 points, and a couple of other things also. And then after 4 minutes of the fourth quarter, Wood was taken out, and I'm like, oh great, right? And for some reason, I figured out why, whatever it is. With like 7 minutes to go in the game or 6 minutes to go in the game, they took Jalen Williams out. And I'm like, oh my God, did he get hurt? Am I that good? Am I that lucky? Right? And so I basically had a big enough cushion where it didn't matter. He did come back with like 3 minutes to go, like barely. And he did score a couple of more buckets, and I hung on anyway. But then I looked, and that's actually his rotation. Like I looked at him. Yeah, in the first half, they did the same thing. You can't play him a million minutes. They rested him from the 6-minute mark to the 3-minute mark. Then they pulled him back in. He did play a full 35 minutes, but I was very I was very pumping my fist because whenever he's in the game, he's freaking just racking up fantasy points, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
So in any case, I do like Jalen Williams. I do like Shea. I like Westbrook. I like the whole game stack, and I think because of that. That's why I'm going to end up probably not playing Embiid or Jokic.
Yeah. So I look, it's a Shea revenge game. Obviously, if I can get to him, I would love to do it. And I also think that he's just awesome anyway. Like, I just think it's a really good play. I'm hoping we hear something from OKC this morning, even with the back-to-back, because they didn't leave the city or anything. For them to be 6.5-point underdogs here is kind of eye-opening. I think the last time they played at LAC, they were like 8-point favorites. So it's just kind of weird. It makes you think maybe you're right. Maybe Chet gets a little breather. I don't know. But hopefully we'll have some idea about that after shoot around. It's really hard on the OKC side, partly sort of like you mentioned with Jalen Williams, but it's the frustration of playing these guys in DFS because they're so deep, and their top 8 are all really, really good players that all fit like certain pieces. Then they've got the young guys like Wallace and stuff like that fit in as well. So it's they do tend to spread out the minutes to these guys, and it makes it a little bit tricky to project them from DFS.
But he still got 35 minutes.
I think Jalen Williams only played 29 last night. Oh no, you're right. He played 35. You're right. He did.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing though. But I mean, I'm just saying the rotation. You're going to see a lot of different stuff. There's a lot of guys who play for them every night. It's not like they're playing, just that. I just meant to do the top 8 in their lineup is all really, really good. So they have all different. They wobble and they try and keep Giddey and Shea off the court, and they try and keep Williams out there as every time Shea's not out there. Like it's just that whole thing. So right now, actually, my favorite play is, look, if we're going to talk about thin value, why wouldn't we be talking about Lou Dort? We know he at least is going to play minutes. It's a competitive game. He's going to be on a combination of Kawhi, Paul George, and Harden the whole time, which is, tough defensively, obviously, but that's what he's used to. This might be a little bit tougher, but 5,400 for him, I think that's reasonable to take a shot on. So I will put Dort on my list of the low-owned things. And look, you're not necessarily expecting much. Get 25 fantasy. Pull an Alex Caruso from last night. Give me 25 fantasy points. That's what you're hoping for when you play him. And I think that he'll be out there the minutes to give you a chance. Large field stuff would be Isaiah Joe for me and Kenrich Williams, but I wouldn't do that in regular builds. I do have Westbrook towards the top. I think there is some flimsiness with this Westbrook stuff. Just from my take is that they did go small. Now the thing is, against OKC, that's the easiest team to go small against, and they like to go small. So when they don't have Zubac, so without Zubac, I am afraid they're going to go small. However, I am still getting to a good amount of both Tice and Plumlee. Plumlee is going to be more popular at 3,700, but Tice is kind of interesting at 44. I'm interested. I'm guessing what they do is they do the starting Tice thing again and bring Plumlee off the bench, but that's another piece of important information that you won't have probably till late in the day. And then, again, just to mention other plays, because there's only 3 games, Terrence Mann would be another one I would consider for a long shot tournament play. It's sort of like the other way they go small is with him. So with all that, like my priorities are look, Reggie Jackson right now, one of Watson or Christian Brown, I think are interesting. And as these are just value savers. Embiid as a spend up, one of Lyles or Barnes from Sacramento, just because again we need the value. Alex Len is a long shot. Metu and Eric Gordon I would say. But those are two other value ones. Then there's Westbrook, and then I have Kawhi, Harden, and Paul George all very close. I have Kawhi as the best. I actually think Kawhi is the one I want to play the most if I had to choose, but I think Harden is right there. If this game was in OKC, we could have a lot of fun with the all the boys back in OKC and figure out which narrative wins out of Paul George, Harden, and Westbrook. But it's at home. It's still a very important game, very competitive. These might be the two best teams in the West outside of Denver and possibly even including Denver, according to some people.
I have a question. So if we're saying that Westbrook got 30 plus minutes because they were going small, is it smart to just do a max one between, LAC Center and Westbrook?
I just don't think you have enough options tonight to do that.
Okay.
But so yes, I would do it. And that's partly why I probably end up on, I like Tice a little bit better, but I probably end up on more Plumlee because the extra value, you know what I mean, between the two players evens out. We just don't have that option.
Well, what I meant though is that if Westbrook's smashing, I mean he's going to be highly owned, right? So if Westbrook's smashing is dependent on them going small, then you don't think maybe play Westbrook with Embiid instead of Plumlee / Tice or.
Well, I do actually, but what you're saying is completely correct. But my only thing is that we just don't have enough history to go on.
Okay. I got it.
Because the Clippers right now they're projecting 42 minutes combined between Tice and Plumlee. I think there's a chance that, and that means 6 minutes of ultra small ball. But if those minutes, there's a chance those turn into 36 combined minutes or 34. That means Westbrook gets even more. But even with those guys projecting like that, we still have Westbrook, projected at 26 minutes, which Westbrook at 5,900 at 26 minutes. I don't need to be the first one to tell you that's a pretty reasonable deal.
And why is this that they were going small against Gobert and Cat? I mean,
that's what they like. That's what they've been doing for years. It's when they went to they made their conference finals run against Phoenix. Everybody was all in love with Zubac every game. I remember this because I won a couple tournaments with this. Was playing all the market. They played back then. It was Marcus Morris. They were playing at the 5, even against a team that was big. And this is more of a natural team to go small against because Holmgren is not a typical big man who's going to post up or do any. And nobody posts up anymore, but not a guy who's going to beat up on you inside, even though he's a great player. I mean, it's a 3-game slate with certainly a lot of different ways to go. Unfortunately, getting off the board might be tough. I would encourage people. Usually, I say, we like to take chances on guys like Lou Dort is one that stands out to me because he's going to play minutes, and you can't really feel cheated if you play him, and you never know when he shoots himself into a game. But on the other flip side of this, I like the idea of maybe taking a shot or two on Alex Len because there's no reason he can't outscore the other guys. He'll be 0% owned. And maybe, if you're not playing Embiid, maybe you could build an Alex Len with a Plumlee lineup, and then you have all the money to spend.
This is a dumb question. What team is Alex Len on again?
He's on Sacramento. It's very thin, don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, you give him any minutes, and against a team that plays naturally big, Trey Lyles is more truly of a 4 than he is a 5. So some of those Lyles minutes could go his way, and some of them, they might just play together. He's being projected for 9 minutes right now. This is a very thin play. Don't get me wrong. I just want to point it out as a long shot play that I'm probably willing to take a shot or two on. You see the range of outcomes. I mean, but look, if he puts up 26 tonight, you're thrilled.
I mean, for sure.
And there's no reason why that couldn't happen. It's just a fluidity thing.
So right now I ran a Saber Sim build, and as I mentioned, I'll just go through it right now. I'd be getting 90% Westbrook and then 70% Plumlee, Jackson. Interestingly, as I kind of predicted, I'd be getting 0 Jokic and 1% Embiid. Just the way things are building right now.
Right.
But we will see how what happens later on in the day.
I think the big piece is going to be what news we get from Denver because I think pretty quickly all the Denver value will look really good if we get KCP out or Porter Jr. or I mean any of these guys. So we'll be live at 6:30 Eastern. And yeah, it's going to be just a nice little 3-gamer. Not a whole lot to go over. Hopefully not going to be waiting on a ton of news by that time. But as I shouldn't jinx us, so we might be. And yeah, I'll post my stuff. I've got a doctor thing that I've got to do an MRI, so I'll be gone for a few hours. But I'm gonna program right after this just my early builds, and then I'll update everybody when I get back as usual.
Oh, you didn't do it. You can stop if you want.
No, I wasn't able to